Hi guys, hope you're all right. Hope you're managing to do lots of creative things. Give me feedback, let me know where you're at, and I'll try and help as much as I can if you're managing to do stuff. I know that probably if you're with family and things, it's probably going to take a bit longer, or you might not be quite ready. You're probably still doing lots of DIY and things like that. And then you can come back to it when you're ready. So it's all here for you when you want to get started again. As you can see, my hands have got loads of Indian ink, which I forgot about because I haven't used Indian ink for ages. What I did, because as you know I don't have black, so I added Indian ink to the darkest colour I could make in acrylic, and that worked quite well, except that I've got it all over my hands. Anyway, so today's session, what I really want to do is talk about making coloured backgrounds, because I think if we could do a whole session on just getting a load of coloured backgrounds that you could work from, I think it would really serve you, and I think you'd have a lot of fun doing it. You might have seen this one before. This one has got collage on it. And I'm going to show you how I make my coloured backgrounds, but these are A3 size paper, which is the mixed media pads, and I do it in all sorts of different ways. I might use paint, put on with a brush. I might throw paint on and then whisk it off by wetting it. But the main idea is that you have lots of these, and then what I do is then I use these to paint a picture on top of. Then, having had my background done already, this makes the whole thing really, really quick and easy actually, because I don't have to think too much about background. I can just think about shadow, and also the subject matter that I end up painting. I like to use a contrasting colour. So for this, for example, if you wanted to paint something like cherries, this would be the perfect background, because it's got nuances of pink and purple, and the blue is the contrasting colour, so it's kind of effective for that. Also, this one here, which was the purple one, if you think about that side here. So I've got these yellow pears and I've been playing around painting with that. If you're thinking about doing outdoor scenes, it's sometimes quite good to have something that's just minor, not too heavy, that you could use nuances of when you paint, or you do a two-tone like this one, and you think about one half perhaps being a skyline or one half being something else. So when I look at this could be the edge of a tree line with the earth and perhaps leaves and things like this, and that could be where the foliage goes. So that's all sort of prepped and ready for me to paint a scene on top of it. So the thing is a lot of this will be very experimental, and there's no point in sort of forcing the issue and making something happen. What you want to do is just have an awful lot of fun, just putting things, playing with colours you've got, playing with things that you've already started with. And so I'm going to show you what I've been up to. This is like Blue Peter. I'm going to show you what I've done already. So today, just for the Facebook feed, what I was mucking about with was a tangerine, because actually what I wanted to do was see how this beautiful orange could sit against the purple background that I'd made in one of my sort of coloured pieces. And as you can see, that's the other half of that sheet. But I really like the idea of the orange sitting next to this lovely purple background. So it's really worth having a go playing with this. Now, I'm going to show you how to make some backgrounds. And this is the whole point of today's session, is to work on how to create, your base layer, and then how to do double layers as well. So as you can see on this side, let's get my water here. As you can see on this side, I've got a lot of orange paint, which has been left on my palette from painting the tangerines. Now I have got here plastic. It's the same plastic you would use to wrap flowers with, and that makes the whole thing really quite exciting, because I've used this plastic probably about 10 times so far. I'll probably get even more life out of it. And the way I do that is that I use this plastic on my bench as my palette, so that I use it straight off the bat. I can put paint straight onto the board. I don't need a palette. I just have basically, it's all sitting on the board, and that's how I paint in my studio. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to really mix the paint up, but try and keep it separate. So I've got colours in one space, but they're not going all over the palette, and I've got some more colours down here, and I'm just going to, basically what I do is I just get it quite wet, so that there's an awful lot of brown in there. Gosh, don't like that. How did that happen? I actually produced a whole lot of rusty colours, and then I went on my walk, and I ended up picking up an old can of Foster's lager. Can you imagine? As a piece of rubbish. And I thought, oh, I could go home and paint that. I quite like colours. So I did that, and I'll show you that now, just for a bit of fun. You'll probably see how I did it on the Facebook group. If you go into the Facebook group, it's debbie.b.baxter or Debbie Baxter, and you'll see I did a quick one of that. But as you can see, that's the rough, rusty coloured background. So it kind of works really well against the blue. So this session, I really want you to get that sense of, you know, playing around with colours that you've been using. Quite often, the colours that I've got left on my sketch pad, I will put into my wet tray, which is this one here. That keeps all of my colours nice and wet, and I can use them, and so I don't have to throw them away, and that saves quite a bit of money. Now what I'm going to do is plonk a bit of white in there. Don't feel like you have to, it's just that I fancy a bit of white, a bit of change. Just going to wet that down a bit. So as you can see, my palette is saturated. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a sheet of A3 paper, and I've got my spray gun here, and I'm just going to wet that white a bit, and I just put the paper on top, so I've got that background colour, and then you just take that off, and you decide what you do. Like, I don't really like to have any edges, so I'm just going to paint them in. Get rid of those edges, like so, so that it's not, I don't have any white showing. That's my main thing, is I don't want to have any white showing. Now I've got a lot of white here, and I want to keep that, so I'm just gonna let it run into what I've got. That kind of makes a really nice shape. Kind of like playing around with that. Now, the art of it is, and this is the difficult bit, especially if you've got animals and kids who are running around a lot, is you've got to let it dry. And the best place to let it dry is on the floor. So I have a mat here, which I managed to spill an awful lot of Indian ink over, but my goodness, it saved the floor, so I'm quite happy about that. Right, so now we have here steel paint that's left on the page, and what I'm going to do is take one of my previously done backgrounds. So I'm going to use this rusty one. So this has already had 2 layers of paint done on it. And what I'm going to do is I take a big brush, and if you can remember us doing this in one of the previous sessions, what I do is wet the page, keep it nice and wet, and the paint I've got left on here I'm just going to plaster onto my page, just like that. I don't want to lose everything I've got underneath. I like what I've got underneath. I just want to add to it. So the way I'm going to do that, you've got to keep it wet, very important. Obviously the layer underneath is dry, that's really important. And then what you do is you take a piece of plastic bin liner and you put that onto your page. And now it's up to you what you do. You can twist it and play with it, get lots of shapes, press it down onto the paper and really get a sort of imprint. Now what I do is I put that on, press it down, and then I leave it for a bit, probably about 10-15 minutes. 20 minutes is okay. You've got to be careful it doesn't rip the paper if it dries too much. But I basically put that on the floor. I've even been known to stand on it a bit to make sure I've got my imprint. And then you're still left with a bit. So that's the beauty of having the acrylic paint. And this is how actually I go about cleaning my palette, because in a way what I'm doing is using the paint I've got, and I'm just managing to use up everything and keep building layers, which is just so much fun with these paintings. So what can I do next? I'm going to pick another sheet that I've done already, so this sheet here, and you can do what I call sort of pushing in, and that is, now I need to find something, which is some tissue. Now you can do this with cling film, or you can do it with a roll. I think first off the bat I'm going to use cling film here, and I'm just going to feed the paint onto my sheet. So I'm going to take about that much off, put that there, and I'm just going to pick up paint and put it on the page. Now there is no reason why you have to cover the whole page. As you can see here, I've got some paper that's come away, so I'm kind of interested to cover that up, but I'm not going to take it off or peel it off. The thing to do is just keep playing, and it's great to have, so if you've got kids here, or if you're just doing it on your own, get really experimental. See, I'm not going to do the whole page, I'm going to leave some of it off, and then I'm just going to chuck that on the floor, and I'll work on that later. Now the other thing is to do, which I think is a lot of fun, is you take pens, pencils, crayons, whatever you want, and you just play and doodle. So having doodle is really therapeutic. So you just start building up, and you might think, well, Deb's not much skill base in doing that, but actually the whole nature of creativity is a sense of play, and having a good play not only stops you from thinking too much and getting worried, this is a two-sided pen, but it also just gives you permission to let yourself and your mind wander, and that is where your creativity starts to have fun and play. I quite like the sense of a scrolling word, so I quite like playing with a sense of slant and descriptive text, quite like that sense. I did have a teacher who used to teach me how to just fill empty space with squiggles and lines, and I actually found that really quite good fun and exciting. So you can use this. This pen is water soluble, so it will run. You can use a pen that is not water soluble and it stays, so it's a permanent ink. And you know that they all have their own effect, but you can see this smudges, and I kind of like that because it doesn't make it too hard and too harsh. But it is a fun way to build a base. Now, the thing to do at the moment is to try and find ways that you find exciting to make bases. So it could be you find that getting newspaper is a really good way of just filling up your base layer. So, and I've done that before, where you take your newspaper cutting and you stick it on your page. So I have a clean, fresh page here, and I've got some newspaper, and all I do today's racing results. Woohoo! Find a way to just stick it all down on your page. What I've got here is gel matte liquid, and I'm just going to take a big brush and stick it down. And the nice thing about the gel matte is that you can put it on top, so you don't have to be and also you can scrunch it up a bit, so you get a bit of a texture thing going on. You don't have to have these hard, fast edges. It's really good at just holding. So I'm just going to scrunch it up a bit, creates a bit of texture, bit of nice 3D modelling on top of your page. And this holds with the paint and everything. You can put a little bit underneath and then do the maximum on the top like that. So there you go. That just sits down like that. I think I might do a bit here too. So you can see I'm kind of building, you're building really on your page, but it's just a lot of fun. And you know, don't think you just have to do newspaper. Do other things as well. So for example, if you want to start adding faces or forms, you know, here's the perfect example. Whoever this guy is, I am not a football fan, but hey, why not? Oh no, sorry, that's rugby, goodness me. You know, all of that, adding to your collage, go for it. Anything you find in a magazine, go for it. So, I've got that on my page. It's stuck down with the mat, which will dry, and I've still got this paint. So what I'm going to do, just paint over. Because the paint is so wet, I can very easily just do this. There you go. So you can see I'm using a lot of the paint up now, which is great. What I do now is just wet that down even further, and then I start washing it off, and then I can use that the next day. So can you see I'm just really covering. Now what I want to do now is just mush it up a bit so it's not too painterly. So I'm just going to I want to keep some of the face there showing. Tell you what, for someone who doesn't like brown, there's an awful lot of it here. but I'll probably do another layer on top of this when it dries. But there you go, that's your start. Chuck it on the floor, let it dry, come back to it tomorrow. There's lots of ways you can do this. This one, for example, there's another way of doing that, is you put the picture face down. You've got some of the content on there and just spray it and it softens it, and then put that on the floor to dry as well. So I'm going to show you my one I did earlier with the paper. As you can see, it's kept some of the content underneath, and you know, that will make a great background for something. And then what I do to keep this plastic is I just dry it off so I can keep using it, because it's quite useful. I don't want to keep using new plastic bag after new plastic bag. Okay, great. So hope you guys are doing okay. Love to see what you've been up to. If you get a chance to post, email me, ask questions, but keep going. Today is all about making background, all playing with your colour, having fun. It's kind of sunny. You could always put these pieces of paper, what I do is hang them up on the washing line, and then they dry really well. And then I put them flat in a book or in my pad, and then they flatten down, and when I come to use them I put masking tape all over the sides so that they're nice and flat and ready for me to draw. But it's a great way to start using your backgrounds. Okay, I'm just going to show you here. This is what I've been doing as a form of background. So you've got all of those that I've been playing with. So they're really, really useful for just doing a quick painting and getting on and not having to think about all that horrible white space. Okay guys, best of luck. Speak to you soon, hopefully. Bye.